This video presentation of Nanosphere Inc. It's a NASDAQ listed stock trading our ticker NSPH. 2013, the stock's had some pretty volatile movement to it. From up over top of $3 all the way down to lose about half its value. Then a strong move all the way back up to $4.49. Again, the stock price has pulled back, but it's holding a pretty strong support level right around $3. And with an up day on Friday, only up a little over 1%. But again, a green close off of that support level. And with that in mind, I think this is a chart worth keeping an eye on going forward to see if it's going to go back up and at least test this 50-day moving average to see if it can break through and move back into a much more bullish position. Got a neutral to somewhat bearish reading in the MACD right now. See the histogram bars are basically right at zero, only slightly negative right now. Tells me that a bullish cross is trying to happen to the 12 passing through the 26 EMA. Now even though it's a bullish cross, it's still below the zero line, which keeps it somewhat bearish. But as I mentioned, coming off that support, all I'm looking for is a little bit of a higher low in the MACD and potentially a trend back towards zero and try and break through zero. Most traders refer that as breaking the money line because typically good things happen when both components of the MACD can push above zero, similar to through here where you see the price per share appreciation that followed. It's a similar look to the PPO. ADX is actually in a pretty nice position for a reversal. Generally when I see that positive DI down low and the negative DI up a little bit higher, I look for them to reverse positions. And coming off that support level, just so happens that's a nice look for the ADX for the stock to try and take on some upward pressure. Not getting much from the MFIs, still down below 50, been trending below 50 now for a couple months. Of course, that's when the price per share has been dropping off, so I don't expect much more than that. Getting a little bit of signs of life from the accumulation distribution, slight uptrend, showing a little bit of buying pressure. That's reinforced by the shaken money flow, moving back towards zero. Down in the red means buying pressure is being outweighed by selling pressure over 20 period increments. But again, it looks like that pressure is subsiding, and the buying and selling is somewhat starting to equalize. CCI also making a little bit higher low, holding above negative 100 now. That's early on signs of people paying higher prices for the stock. Full Stow just dropped a bullish cross. Again, below 50, that's bearish, but moving in the right direction. And that's the type of hints I'm looking for as the stock price is falling back down and sitting on that support level. Tricks to gauge a trend. Looks like a bullish cross may happen. It's a very slow moving indicator, generally regarded as a lagging indicator because it is so smooth. But bullish crosses, again, are pretty optimistic signs of things to come. Relative Strength Index, yeah, not a big surprise here. Holding below 50, a lot of bearish momentum in the play. Of course, that's when the stock price has been falling off. But here recently, 7 curling up towards the 14 and 21, giving slight hints of some bullish momentum trying to come into the play. Now I'll just watch for that break of 50 and see if the bulls can start to take control of momentum. So the indicators aren't really in a bad position at all, but what really caught my eye when looking at this 9-month chart was a support level right there at $3. Now I could say that runs up to $3.25, but you can see even back through here, stock had a hard time moving through that $3 mark. Even when it popped up to $3.25, it didn't hold, came back down, came up, tested it again. And I don't know what happened here. I'm assuming something fundamentally happened, that the stock price plunged like it did, but then climbed back upward and actually gapped right through that resistance point, and that's been holding pretty much as support ever since. Now, of course, that gap is still left unfilled down there to around 281, 282, which is something to pay attention to, because if it does want to make an intraday dip and come down, it's virtually bouncing off the 200-day moving average, and if it wants to pull right back up, it's a good thing to see a gap filled, and if it closes back above that $3 mark, continue to hold that support. So it's in a real interesting position where it is, being close to filling that gap, being close to the 200-day moving average, but certainly holding strong as $3 as support. Now to the upside, I think that 50-day moving average and what I'd call a little bit of static resistance is going to be key right there around $3.50. If it can move through that, a little bit more resistance up around $3.80, but looking for it to become much more difficult up around $4.40. Volume's okay in this, 303,000 shares traded on Friday, probably a little bit below average for it. I'd like to see some volume bars increasing to show buying interest coming off a support point, but liquidity should not be too big of a challenge in this play, with it trading 3, 4, 500,000 shares a day, just generally, and certainly capable of putting together some large spikes. See 7 million traded in the last days of June. Interesting chart though, a good one to kick this week off with, and we'll see if that support holds and where this chart goes from here. As always, merely my interpretation of the NSPH chart. Thank you for watching. Trade smart.